Hey everybody, welcome back. We are doing things here in the great state of Utah, including promoting a plurality of political opinions. Of course, we all know very well that the GOP, the Republican Party, is a very dominant force in state politics here. That being said, of course, there are many wonderful public servants right through this state's history who have come from the Democratic side of the aisle. This evening, we're going to talk with a couple of young movers and shakers who are putting their hats into the ring, as they say, for party leadership, the Utah Democratic Party. I'm pleased to welcome candidate for chair and candidate for vice chair, Sarah Baytop-Scott and Margarita Satini. Welcome, ladies. How are you?
Oh, no.
Ms. Scott was just kind enough and prescient enough to point out that I don't have a secret handshake here in the Mountain Views Clubhouse, so it was invented just right now. Thank you so much for that. Margarita, welcome. So nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on having the gravitas to get in there and toss around a little bit. I guess let's do this before we talk specifically about your individual and collective decisions to run. Talk about, from your perspective, from your experiences, and I know that collected there's quite a bit of experience, and not just with the party, but also y'all's backgrounds in politics to put a place for why this makes sense for both of you.
Yeah, I founded Utah for Bernie Sanders, and I was outreach director in rural Nevada, and one of the state directors here with the national campaign in Utah. And I've worked a lot with activists and grassroots leaders and nonprofits. In the last year, I've done a lot with voter registration as well. And there's just a major disconnect between the people on the ground and the people who are involved in politics. Not so much the Democratic candidates who are elected, but I think you see the leadership that is a little bit disconnected in that sense, and nationally as well. I mean, nationally it's completely disconnected.
Certainly the collective national gnashing of the teeth among Democrats after this particular very contentious and certainly disappointing for the Democratic Party as a whole election cycle has produced a lot of soul searching and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Talk about what you've seen respectively in that regard, not just in terms of state politics, but also the fact that we were heavily enmeshed in a national focus with an important presidential election.
Yeah, I mean, what you saw with Bernie and Trump is they both had this message that just brought droves of people to go out and vote. And when Bernie didn't win, you saw people they felt disconnected between, Hillary Clinton, and they felt like Donald Trump was speaking to them, going against the status quo, and that's why you did see Donald Trump win. He speaks to the emotion. Do I agree with him? No, not at all. But the way he campaigned, even over social media, and the way he talked to people, it resonated, and I think that's something that we need to capture in our party and, improve our leadership and really talk to the people.
Yeah, I mean, they both did a really great job of connecting with working class, disenfranchised. They both had the same target audience, but delivered their messages in such different ways. They were both considered populist candidates, and I think that's the reason why. Is because they had a message that resonated so well with so many people. So.
And it occurs to me that in some ways the 30,000-foot view in the takeaway of the presidential election to say, okay, the two major parties both had agents of change and disruptors, whatever terms you want to use, and I don't think it's necessary to compare or contrast them specifically as candidates, except to say that in the case of Trump, what he did to the Republican Party versus what the Democratic Party did to Bernie Sanders, to me, that's one of the most certainly sobering and in a lot of ways, and I think anybody who watches this program knows that I lean left, and I'm not a registered Democrat, but I'm certainly resonate more with a lot of the populist messages that Bernie Sanders was sharing, and yet we're sitting here talking about the fact that the change maker on the right changed his party and became president, and the change maker on the left, and again, not to say that Trump was more effective than Bernie, I don't think he was, but talk about, is there a state parallel that you're seeing that spurred the two of you to action to say, we've got to run, we've got to be a face that is progressive to the Democratic Party in this state as well as nationally?
Yeah, for me personally, and I was talking to Margarita a lot before we ran. I'm like, Margarita, you got to run, you got to run. And I was like, we got to find a chair candidate that can speak to the people and really have like a critical thinking and have the type of messaging that we need to push the party forward. And so I was kind of trying to find a chair candidate, and all of a sudden I'm like, and Keith Ellison we saw on the national level lost. Yeah. I'm like, okay, maybe I should run. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And so that's really, I wasn't planning to run, and I was hoping someone would step up. And it comes to the point where you realize people aren't stepping up, and we need a leader who can connect. We need a leader that has a good message and someone that's going to be effective. And based on both of our experiences, we've worked in the community and we understand what needs to happen, and we've done it before. And that's what the party needs. Yeah,
most definitely. So I chair the Utah Pacific Islander Civic Engagement Coalition. And when I jumped into the coalition, it was kind of on its last leg. And so I became chair, and we have had a ton of firsts. We've had our first ever Pacific Islanders town hall. We had 14 candidates, both Republican and Democrats, and I'm told that Republicans don't like town halls. I don't know why. Jason Chaffetz. We also had our first ever API day up at the Capitol, where we provided citizen lobbying training, and we also were able to lobby on behalf of several bills that we felt had a huge impact on not just Pacific Islander communities, but communities of color in general. And I've been part of the Democratic Party for a long time. I was on the Mike Weinholz campaign and really worked hard in his diversity outreach department, and really did a lot of work for him and was able to mobilize many of our communities to come out for him, vote for him, support him. And I just saw that more than ever, just regular, everyday folks are looking for somebody to represent them. Not corporate interests, not the rich, somebody who, when they say, I'm here for you, when I campaign on this, I'm going to follow through with my promises. And so I've heard complaints about several of our legislators, and I thought, I want to be a part of the solution. I'm going to run as vice chair. I had a few people actually call me and ask me to run, especially this one over here. She wanted me to run, but I really think more than ever that the Democratic Party really represents values, human rights values, right? I don't see that on the other side, but I do see that with our own party. And I want to be part of, re-energizing the base, building that trust back up, growing our base, and finding, candidates that really, represent our values.
And inspiring people to get involved.
We need to inspire people and get involved. I registered. We started with the I'm sorry, Cheryl.
Oh no, it's okay.
So we started the excitement. I love it.
We started with one of our primary initiatives for our coalition was the I Vote campaign, and we went out and we started registering people to vote, and we started and that gave us an opportunity to have one-on-one crucial conversations about people who have been apathetic to the political process. They either didn't care or were intimidated by it, and that just told me that we have failed as a party to reach out to these people, and so we actually to date have registered over 300 people. And that's a lot of conversations, right?
Yes, Besides 300 votes, there's every one of those tendrils of conversations that go out from every one of those now voter rights activists, right?
Yeah, and the thing is with voter registration, you see a lot of people saying, hey, do you want to register to vote? Boring. Yep. Hey, do you want to change the entire system, and do you want to be responsible for this change?
Hashtag marketing.
Yep.
Hashtag marketing.
Right.
We've had. I came across a lot of people who had served their time. They had a felony record, and they felt like they had no voice. But in Utah, if you have served your time and you have a felony record, you're still eligible to vote. So a lot of people are like, I want to make a difference. You know, the way that they treat some of our brothers and sisters are incarcerated is wrong. I said, well, the only way that you're going to be able to combat that is if you vote and you put in the right leaders to address those issues. So.
And I think the other thing that is evident to me is that through your passion and through passion into activity, in this case, having these specific conversations with people, with individuals, with small groups, you're creating an awareness that it's not even just about registering to vote, it's also about participating in the process.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot more to that, and actually in some ways participating in the process is cooler and more fun than just sitting around, you know, reading and being an observer, and then just having this one moment when you politicize when you go in to vote.
That's probably one of our breakdowns, I think, in the party, is that there's a disconnect in communication from the leaders up top and just like our base, you know, because we've been phone banking, and a lot of the candidates or delegates that I talk to tell me that, oh, well, we didn't know, we haven't heard anything, and I'm like, my God, we have, you know, the Democratic Party has this infrastructure that we are not utilizing to the fullest, and we should be, because we have a lot of people that are waiting for their marching orders. We're ready to serve, you know what I mean, and they're not getting it.
And you need leaders that can really inspire people to get involved in, and we don't come from political backgrounds. For me personally, my background's in entrepreneurship and technology, and I got so mad at my student debt and, you know, the debt I had with medical issues, and that really made me get involved originally. And I think you're seeing a lot of people who don't have this political background starting to get involved, and I think you need leaders that understand where they're coming from and understand that you can be whatever you are and still have a place in the political world.
I'm with her. I have an IT career, 20 plus years in the IT industry, but the reason why I got so heavily involved is because due to racial and social justice issue, my own personal experiences. And I have 3 adult sons, and they're big brown boys, you know, and anytime you see 3 or more, that's a gang, you know, and it's horrible, right? But I just remember somebody telling me, well, there's nothing you can do. You can't do anything to combat, you know, law enforcement officers who are not doing the right thing. And I thought to myself, well, what do you mean I can't do anything? You know, he goes, well, you have to be a mayor. So 2015, I ran for city council. Now, I lost, but I got about 40% of the votes for my first time ever. And I got the bug.
That's a significant number.
It's huge.
That's huge.
It's huge.
Really big number.
Yeah, so that's my reason.
That's fantastic. Well, and of course, I've been an observer of the political process for long enough to know that, you know, in some ways the first candidacy or the first run that you make is just that, it's just the first one, and especially in a state like this, running as a Democrat, you better run a few before you get too expectant that you can beat an incumbent and a Republican.
Well, talk about being marginalized, being a woman, being a person of color, being a Democrat in Utah. We definitely know what it's like to be marginalized in this state. So,
and I'm curious to get y'all's take on this, because the sense that I've gotten, and again, I haven't been in Utah for a long time, but the sense that I've gotten is that your comments granted. That being said, there's something about this state that we're not quite so densely packed in. We are kind of almost a one-town state in Salt Lake City, and you know, I guess I'll include Park City in the larger metropolitan area.
We like it.
But it feels to me, and I think that the two of you's candidacy is a perfect representation of the fact that no matter what, you're going to make your mark in this cycle, and were you to be successful in taking the reins of the party, what a revolutionary thing that would be in a state that, regardless of political party, is a patriarchal state, and we can do all the we all know all the statistics. But the fact that a ticket of 2 women is running, and I know that you're not the only 2 women that are involved in the process, but it's a pretty. I think it's a cool statement about Utah.
And I think it's a cool statement about Utah, and then nationally, I mean, I I think our brand together, it's unique. I'm one of the youngest candidates in the nation running, but I am qualified. So don't use that against me.
She's qualified.
Sarah's got everybody.
I mean, how many Pacific Islanders do you see getting out? Like, we can be, people can look up to us, and you realize that change can happen from anyone.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that we do, like with our coalition, I also vice chair the API Democratic Caucus, and we work hand in hand, and we've reached across the aisle and worked with people from the other side. But we started this work a few years ago, and we're starting to see the fruition of our work just now. You know what I mean? So, am I patient? Oh yes, I am. Am I an agent of change? Oh, you better believe it. You know what I mean? And I'm in it for the long haul. So.
Yeah, and I'm just going to do a little plug for Margarita because I know she won't say it. Next month, she's speaking in San Francisco, and she is representing the Pacific Islander community across the nation because she's one of the most politically involved Pacific Islanders making change in the nation.
Oh gosh, thank you.
And I think that makes me want to cry because that's so inspiring. And that's why I team up with her, because we need that change, and I don't think people realize just how important you are just to Utah and the nation.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Sarah. Well, I really love my community. I love my Democrats. I love my fellow human beings. I love the working class. I love the little guy, right? Because my parents immigrated to this country back in '69. And when they came here, they got, they worked hard, they got their citizenship, but they had this guest mentality that they couldn't shake off. They didn't know that they had it, right? Keep your head down, keep your nose clean, do your work.
Right.
And they felt like they just didn't have the rights. And that's how I was raised. I was raised in a home that had this mentality of, you're just a guest here. Until I started experiencing my own injustices. And I went, oh, wait a minute, I pay taxes, I work, I will say whatever the hell I want.
There you go.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I am not a guest here. This is my home. And as anyone else, with the same rights, I have a right to voice my concerns and demand change.
And isn't it the American way?
It's the
That
American
is
way.
part of the better life that your parents came here for, and you're fulfilling that for them. That is a really beautiful thing. Before we go, and I know you guys are going to come back. We're gonna yuck it up with Ransom a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about a visitor who's gonna come and spend some time with us here in Utah. But before we finish here, tell folks where they can find out more information about the process, about elections, and maybe election isn't the right word. I'm not far enough in to know the right terminology, but when you all will be put to a vote. Elections, fair enough.
If you want, we have a really amazing platform. You can check out my website at votesarahscott.com, and Sarah, S-A-R-A-H.
Put that H in there.
Put that H in there.
Put that H in there.
And and Margarita.
Oh, margaritastini.com. And I just want, real quickly, because I just want to plug in that Sarah is such an amazing individual. Like, her boots on the ground experience, the way she mobilizes community and helps people recognize that they themselves are empowered to demand that they be heard and that their concerns are voiced, is amazing. Gotcha. Aww.
Can you feel the love in here? I only save it for special occasions. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
We appreciate the work that you're doing, and I think
Thank you so
I
much.
speak for everyone on either side of the aisle that caring and loving your country and wanting to do the best for your country according to what your feelings are, your philosophies are. That's where we're at. That's the great gift that we still have.
And regardless of party, we love one another.
Absolutely.
We do.
All the best. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, quick break. We'll be right back and do some music, and then we're going to talk to pundit Ransom Widener after this.